Sup everybody, welcome back to another video. As you guys can see today, we're talking about Jing Yuan, and yes, I know there are plenty of reasons why some people would not want to pull Jing Yuan. I know, trust me, and that ranges from you already have Sealy, you just don't like his design, you don't like his playstyle, to like what's coming on in 1.1. Now yes, Silver Wolf is coming. We're going to be touching a little bit about that in this video as well as another limited healer. I forgot his name in the moment, but very good units to potentially save up for. So there are plenty of reasons as to why people might not want to summon for Jing Yuan. But for me today, making this video, I want to help people get a better understanding of Jing Yuan. What is the hype about? Why are people so excited for this unit? And truly, what does he bring to the table for your account, and how should you be building him, right? Lightcones, we're going to be talking about traces, we're going to be talking about relics, everything from this stuff. All right, so get comfortable because we're going to be here for a little while just to figure this character out and how you should approach Jing Yuan. All right, insane character. And if you guys are on the hype train, don't worry, we're going to be going at full speed right here. Okay, so let's just start with the basics. The fact that Jing Yuan is an essentially AoE DPS in the lightning category already sells him very well. Now I do understand he's a DPS unit, and DPS units in these type of games usually are the first to get power creep, but the fact that he's an AoE DPS, the best AoE DPS with exceptions to, I think right now, the perfect conditions and scenario, the best DPS AoE wise, I believe it's Clara, but it's like very difficult to set up that unique situation. So apart from that, Jing Yuan is the #1 premier AoE DPS, and the fact that his AoE functions different from a lot of other AoEs in the game is also important to note, because he does true AoE. What the hell does that mean, right? Then what are those other AoEs? Well, the other AoEs are more like pseudo AoEs, as you guys already know. Some of these characters are doing, it's kind of like splash damage, whereas they can hit 3 characters, and you gotta like make sure to pick the right one, and then they'll hit 2 ones on the side as well. But Jing Yuan, he's like the full-fledged, full-on AoE character, lightning, and get this, there's basically 2 characters built into one, right? There's Jing Yuan and there's the Lightning Lord. I know maybe people who haven't seen information about him is confused. Now this essentially just is saying that Jing Yuan is kind of here to set up the Lightning Lord for success. The Lightning Lord truly is the one dealing the damage here. Now yes, Jing Yuan still does damage himself, and the fact that both of them are capable of doing AoE damage just makes his kit even better. And already going into his kit and talking about how to properly utilize it is that in the end game of Honkai Star Rail, the skill points are incredibly important. So having, let's say, supports on your team who needs to use their skill, having healers on your team who needs to use their skill, oftentimes, let's say if you also are running Sealy, this is the difference, right? Jing Yuan can Forsaken using his skill and still dish out good amount of damage, AoE damage, through the Lightning Lord. Now yes, you're not going to be stacking your Lightning Lord, but you could do that in your previous turns, having him set up. And just because this turn you need to set up your supports or you need to set up your healers doesn't take away from the fact that Jing Yuan still is dishing out insane amount of damage through Lightning Lord. So for people who are going to invest into Jing Yuan, basically it has to be because you don't have Sealy, like you chose to skip Sealy, or you try to summon for Sealy, you ended up losing the 50-50, now you're guaranteed, right? Now yes, we're going to be talking a little bit about comparisons wise between him and Silver Wolf, which is coming up in patch 1.1. This is the thing, right? People are saying that, well, like, you know, the supports are going to be the better options here, but the thing is, what are the supports supporting? Yes, there are plenty of good 4-star DPS options, so even if you don't have Jing Yuan, you can also just run certain 4-stars and then pick up an insane support character. But then again, you're gonna run into certain walls in this game, and all the roles in the game are important. Supports are important, healers are important, debuffers are important, buffers are important, DPSs are extremely important. Now if you're gonna brute force your way through the game, the best way to do it obviously is with DPS, and especially early game, mid game, even right now late game, DPSs are going to be the one that carries you harder. Now if you're thinking about maybe a year down the line, Silver Wolf might be the better option here because of how her kit works. Now if you want, we can talk a little bit about that if we have time at the end of this video, because right now we have to talk about traces, we have to talk about the relics, we have to talk about the light cones for Jing Yuan. So when it comes to traces right now, War Marshal and Battalion Crush seems to be the one that people are prioritizing. Man with a Plan is also good, but truly I think War Marshal right now is just insane. I cannot stress enough how important this extra 10% crit rate is. It's very difficult, as you guys may know, to be getting good crit crit rate stats on your relics right now. It's definitely going to be one of those stats that we are hunting for when we're farming for it, but RNG is RNG, right? So War Marshal is actually very beneficial here. So yeah, this is going to be top choice for the traces. Now moving into the light cones. Now this is where I think Jing Yuan falls down a little bit, because I've spoken to some endgame players. Now they kind of differ here and there, because some would say that, well, you know, you can always get Night on the Milky Way and it's a great replacement to his signature light cone here. And now obviously his signature light cone Before Dawn is going to be the best in slot, but it doesn't mean that there are completely bar none no free-to-play options. For example, if we go down here a little bit, Seriousness of Breakfast, that one is pretty good for free-to-plays. Now how close is it to Before Dawn? Well, I wouldn't say it's that far apart, but it's certainly not close, right? It's not like you're not going to feel a difference if you were to upgrade to Before Dawn. There is a noticeable difference. However, for DPS units, this one is still pretty good and it gets the job done, right? Like there's enough power in the game right now through supports, through buffers, that you can supercharge your characters to get the job done without 5-star light cone. Now what kind of game would it be if they'd be like, oh well, if you don't have his signature light cones, which is aka his weapon, you're not going to be able to bring out what he's designed for. He is still going to clap. Like I think when people ask this question, like, oh, Walrus, but right, you see, you need his light cone. His light cone is so important. It gives so much more damage if you have his light cone. You just don't understand. Every bit of extra damage you have on a character, that's wasted damage. Like, for example, if you're overshooting damage by 30%, you're killing them with extra 30% damage. Let's say, sure, it looks good on Sealer, for example, when you see people doing like 1,000,000 something damage, but like how much of that is actually needed damage, right? That's what my point is. Seriousness of Breakfast, even Today's Another Peaceful Day, these two are good enough to get the job done. You're still going to be crushing content as long as you set him up properly. It's just that if you are running Before Dawn, if you are running Night on Milky Way, you're going to have an easier time. You can get away with a lot of mistakes, like bad setups, bad rotations, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's just going to power through regardless with his overloaded damage anyways, right? But understand, it's fine. Good free-to-play options. Yes, Sealer also has great free-to-play options. There are other characters, DPSs, that also have good options, right? Maybe you have a 4-star with a really good setup already and you probably don't need even Jing Yuan, but who am I kidding, right? We're all here watching this video because we're thinking, well, I need to justify polling for Jing Yuan, and here's your justification. Even for the light cones, good free-to-play options here. Now we have to talk about the relics, because the relics is basically what makes or breaks these characters, right? Like light cones are good, but in my opinion, relics, if you have a good relic set, like not just for Jing Yuan, you can like switch it on and off for a bunch of different characters, like maybe 2 characters right now, or maybe in the future, like even 3 characters down the line are sharing the same relic set. Like this is far more important in my opinion than the light cone. Just my opinion. So now for set piece, I think it's no-brainer. Sizzling Thunder, you can't go wrong with this. Like this is like the go-to. The 2 set gives you lightning damage. 4 set, when the user uses skill, increases wear damage by 20% for 1 turn. You're going to be using your skill to stack up the Lightning Lord. Don't worry if you don't understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to be making a full-on guide when he comes out, but just understand that in the beginning, you're going to be using your skill to set up the Lightning Lord to increase this stack that he has, and the more stacks he has, the more damage he does, the more speed he has, right? The Lightning Lord starts off with 60 speed, kind of slow, but you use Jing Yuan's skill to essentially make the Lightning Lord stronger and stronger. You need to stack that up. So you are going to be using it and you're going to increase your worth. Attack, super good. 4 set, no brainer. I think you should use it. Now, the other 2 set piece I believe you should be running is right here, Space Sealing Station. Increase the wearer's attack 12% when the wearer's speed reaches 120 or higher, and the wearer's attack increases by an extra 12%. This is very important. Right now, endgame players, most of them are prioritizing the speed stat. Now, the ones who are paying for their relics have been able to farm speed up to, I believe it was 134. They were talking about it. I was interviewing somebody and they're saying, yeah, apparently somebody figured out that 134, you were able to have double turns, right? That's such a sweet spot for DPSs to have right now. 134 seems to be sweet, but like, come on, who's realistically hitting 134 consistently through these relic pieces? If you're really lucky as a free to play, congratulations. But for most people, you're not going to be able to reach that breaking point. So focusing substats on crit rate, in my opinion, is still going to be the better way to go about it. Now, if you have been just lucking out on substats, going for that 134 speed stat is going to be very, very beneficial according to current endgame players, like the meta endgame players. But in my opinion, like you don't really need to hunt for it. I think 120 speed with good balance of crit rate is going to be extremely good. Now it's going to be crit rate in my opinion, speed, and then attack. It's pretty standard for your DPS options right now that these are the subsets that you're going to be focusing on, and it's going to be no different for Jing Yuan. Ultimately, which leads us to team building. I think Jing Yuan is going to be running with a healer, running with a support, and you can run with the MC, fire MC, or you can be running let's say Branya if you have her, right, another double buffer, or you can run double healer if you think you need it. In my opinion, I think running double buffers is probably the better way to go about endgame right now. Obviously, if you have like Gepard, you can probably even drop the healer and run double support with super OP shielder in Gepard, but most people are not going to have Branya and Gepard. Come on, let's be honest here. Like, what, like, are you M-Tash? You're not, obviously not. So running double support with a healer is probably going to be the way to go for Jing Yuan, and I think so many teams right now just share a similar structure, so I'm not going to be really dwelling on team compositions. I think if you're pulling on Jing Yuan banner and you don't get Ting Yuan, that's a huge F in the chat, but you're gonna have Ting Yuan, you're gonna have Jing Yuan most likely when you pull on this banner, and I really think you should pair these together. The last two slots, in my opinion, are flex: healer, support, shielder, support, right? And then when I say support, I really mean buffer. It's going to be amazing. This character is going to service you so damn well, and if you pull Jing Yuan, you probably won't really need to pull for many DPSs going forward. Now, yes, in Honkai Star Rail, you're going to want coverage. I understand that, but this is where Silver Wolf comes in. Now, if you're pulling for Jing Yuan, are you really going to be able to make it for Silver Wolf? There's videos circulating saying that right now, I think you can accumulate like 200 something free summons if you do everything in the game. So if you've saved up resources well, there's a good shot of getting Jing Yuan and Silver Wolf. Now, why do you even want Silver Wolf? Now, the reason that people are even hunting for Silver Wolf is because her kit has a mechanic where she can add additional weakness elements to the enemies. Now, that's insanely broken if you understand how Honkai Star Rail work. It's basically all focused around elemental weaknesses. If you're playing late game in Honkai Star Rail and you don't play around weaknesses, you are not going to be clearing the content. That's why Silver Wolf being able to add additional weaknesses according to what type of element that you have on your team that the enemies are currently not weak to, completely busted ability, right? So that's why Silver Wolf is likely going to be in every single composition for Honkai Star Rail. That's why people are saying, like, even going as far as they skip Jing Yuan to go for her. Like, just even if you don't have a DPS, skip all DPS, skip all banners, get Silver Wolf, because that skill is going to break the game, because that basically makes it so you don't have to hunt for different DPS elements, meaning you don't need lightning, you don't need quantum, you don't need fire, you don't need ice, you don't need like wind, you don't need any of these elements. You just need one that you really enjoy playing, pair with Silver Wolf, and Silver Wolf will get the rest of the job done. Now, it has gimmicks about that skill, which we're not going to get into here. This is not a Silver Wolf video. I'm just saying that pairing Jing Yuan with Silver Wolf basically means you likely won't have to pull a support or a DPS for like a year, maybe even longer than that at the rate it's currently going. You basically are set, right? It's incredibly broken, I know, but very few of us are probably going to be able to have that kind of setup ready to pull for both of these characters. And I think Jing Yuan is still going to service you extremely well if you play around his strength, build team compositions around him. I think he's pretty broken, being the best AoE DPS with exception to cheesing with Clara, and also being 4th best in single DPS. It speaks volumes to how valuable of a DPS character he is. Now, I don't think I need to be telling you guys pull for Jing Yuan. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, I think you yourself know that he is an incredibly valuable character. His banner is incredibly busted. I don't think we're going to be seeing as good of a banner as the current one we have for Jing Yuan, and it's really weird for them to be putting such a good banner on a character that's also pretty broken. Usually it's like the 5-star character isn't that good or decent but not amazing, and then they give you really good 4-star banners to compensate. But no, for Jing Yuan, insanely busted character, best AoE DPS. I'm just gonna say he's the best one. I know she's Clara is above him, but consistently he is like the best AoE DPS in the game, bar none right now, and probably going forward he's still going to be holding that place for quite a while. And he's the 4th best single DPS in the game, behind I believe Sile and the standard banner boy, and who was the other one? There was one more above him. I think it was Dan Heng or something like that. But yeah, how can you say this character is not worth it? I think he's incredibly worth it. That's all the hype I'm going to be giving you guys. I think you guys are also sick of hearing me talking about how good of a character he is. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck polling him, good luck building him. He's very free-to-play friendly in my opinion. I'm probably going to be polling for him, building him as a free-to-play character. I'm not going to be polling for his light cone. Yes, it's a huge DPS buff, but like I said, any bit of extra DPS is just wasted DPS. You only need enough to clear the content, and free-to-play DPS is more than enough to clear the content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and like, subscribe for more Honkai Star Rail videos. Till next time, remember to stay safe. Peace, bye.